I'm Court.
I'm Kiah.
And we're the Backroad Cowgirls.
God damn it, walking my family away.
I'm Court.
And I'm Kiah.
And we're the Backroad Cowgirls. Today we're visiting the Machado family.
And we're going to talk about all things mental health and agriculture.
Let's go.
Let's go. Yeehaw.
Yeah!
I grew up in a small town called Chowchilla, California. My grandpa had a dairy. I loved being on the dairy, being with the animals, being in nature. I think that as a child, I always ran a little anxious, but didn't know because I was always outside. And then I thought, I cannot stay in a small town forever. I gotta get out of here. So then I went to the Bay Area in Sonoma, and I went to college, and then I lived in Silicon Valley for a little bit. I've always really been into mental health, our biopsychosocial, being connected with nature and the earth, and it's so important to just be outside, but it gets forgotten so often. And then in the ag industry, I think it's we're outside all the time. It's almost like we forget that it can also be so healing. And I started navigating that as I was in my career journey, and have kind of landed where I am now, which is actually teaching mental health tools, and helping ag businesses provide curriculum to their employees and to their customers for mental health, because it's so important. It sounds so woo-woo, and it really is sometimes hard for people to conceptualize, but mindfulness, and what mindfulness means is not sitting cross-legged, mindfulness is actually just being aware of what's going on in our body, because we can't do any of the tools unless we're aware of what is going on, right? So I'm feeling tense in my shoulders. Okay, why am I feeling tense in my shoulders? What is going on in my life to cause me this kind of angst and tenseness? Okay, so mindfulness, one. What is mindfulness? How do we do mindfulness? Journaling, spending time in silence or quiet, peaceful music, working out, gardening, anything maybe repetitive. Two, after we're aware of what's going on and we're able to notice something is off, then we can take the next step. So I would say, again, journaling, writing out kind of who, what, when, where, why, how, in what I'm feeling. Grounding, which is just walking barefoot in the dirt, spending time thinking. Breath work, you can do a square breathing. So if you just look at a picture frame and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you follow a deep breath in, then you hold for 4, and you exhale for 4, you hold for 4, and you do that around 4 times. That can bring down your anxiety. Actually, my favorite tool is a type of writing form where you write down everything that's holding you back, and then you go through and cross out anything that's not a fact. Because the thing is, anxiety really lives in the future. Anxiety is a lot of questions, a lot of what ifs. And if we're in the what if game, that cycle can really just go forever. So you stop and pause, you write down, what are all of these thoughts going through your head? And you cross out everything that's not a fact. So what's something that you feel you have a hard time with in your mental health?
I'm someone who really identifies as an achiever. Mm-hmm. I'm a big dreamer. I have so many hopes and dreams for my life, and I think that's one of my strengths, but I think it's also one of my weaknesses. I think it makes it hard for me to be present in the moment, and sometimes I feel I have so many things I want to do. It's hard to make or find the time
Yeah.
to focus on making sure I'm good and feel strong and worthy, separate from what I achieve.
Yeah. First, our worth is not in our work, it's like in here, right? So being able to pause and reflect on that, and sometimes repeating it over and over to yourself, sometimes every day. I'm like, my worth is not in my work, it's who I am. My worth is not in my work, it's in who I am. And then being able to recognize either we can put in small increments of time every day, or it's all going to come crashing down because we're not taking care of ourselves, and we're going to have to put in a lot of time at once. And I think in ag, it can, or I mean in general, like we all live busy lives. It can just be like, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. So what I like to say is like, I recognize that. I recognize we're all busy. You know what? Why don't you just be aware that, you know, that's something that you need to think about, and put it on the shelf. Go plant the seeds or go do whatever you need to do, and then come back and say, you know, I need to spend time thinking about that my worth is not in my work, it's in who I am. Or I can actually spend a couple minutes every day taking care of myself so that it doesn't all come crashing down in a month or two.
Ashley, mental health is such a huge thing in agriculture, and it's something that we largely, I think in the world in general, but especially in agriculture, we do not talk about it, right? Because we're raised to be tough and suck it up and do what it takes, you know, that cowboy up mentality. So how do we get this mental health conversation to the forefront? How do we get people comfortable having it and saying, I do need help?
Yeah. First, I think we gotta normalize struggle. Like 1 in 4 people struggle with mental health. Agriculture, by industry, agriculture is leading all the industries in suicide rates. So it's not uncommon, right? So first we just need to start talking about it. I'm struggling with, I'm having a hard time with. And sometimes it can be hard to share that vulnerability with people around you, so maybe just start with our close circle.
I feel like there's so much shame attached to the struggle, so maybe separating those two. Let's go into my kitchen for a minute, right? My pappy, my 86-year-old cowboy pappy, my uncle, they're ranchers, they're cowboys, they're hardcore. I would love, they need some meditation in their life, but they're not gonna do it. So where do we start, especially maybe with this older generation, this more traditional generation? How do we convince them that these are conversations we need to have, and how do we convince them to take a moment for self-care? These ranchers and farmers, they very rarely take time for self-care, I feel like.
I think we don't convince them, we show them. So you're in your kitchen, you're like, oh, Pappy, I'm having a hard time with some anxious, I'm feeling tight in my chest. And he's like, oh, okay. And you're like, yeah, so I started going on walks. It's really been helpful for me. You don't tell him anything like, oh, I noticed you were feeling a little stressed the other day, right? Do you want to come on a walk with me? You just say, I'm having a hard time. I started going on walks. Wow, it has been so helpful. I'm like kind of feeling a little lighter.
It needs to be Pappy's idea.
Court said she went on a walk. Maybe I'm gonna try a walk today. Oh wow, that walk felt really good. You know, my avua, that's Grandpa in Portuguese, he used to walk his dairy farm with a glass of wine.
I love this.
That's what we need. Every day at 5 o'clock, he would just, I don't know if the glass, he kept refilling it, but he would walk, and I think that was so impactful for him. So you just show, not tell.
Show, not tell.